A couple of months ago, I made a video about Eileen Gu. It changed how I live. I started treating fear as a tool. I started visualizing everything. I started believing that greatness comes from obsessive, relentless preparation. And I still believe most of that. Then I watched a girl win the Olympics by doing the exact opposite. She was in third place going into the free skate, the biggest night of her life, in an arena in Milan, with a 24-year drought on her shoulders. No American woman had won this title since before she was born. And as she took the ice, with everything on the line, she looked up into the stands, found her friends and family, and waved at them. Then she grinned through the entire routine like it was a Tuesday practice session back home in Oakland. Her name is Alysa Liu. She was the youngest American champion in history at 13. She burned out and quit at 16 with an Instagram post. She spent 2 years living a normal life, so far removed from skating that she lost track of where her skates even were. And when she came back without the one thing every champion is supposed to have. She stopped caring about winning. 1 year later, she was world champion. 2 years later, she was Olympic champion. Eileen Gu taught me that your mind is a machine you can engineer. Alysa Liu broke that. And the uncomfortable part is, they might both be right. So today, I am taking apart my own belief system in public. Because these two women just ran the cleanest experiment I have ever seen. On the biggest stage on Earth, weeks apart, in the same Italian mountains. Let me restate the gospel first, because it deserves a fair hearing. If you watched the Beijing Olympics in 2022, you saw Eileen Gu become the most impressive 18-year-old on the planet. Gold in big air, gold in halfpipe, silver in slopestyle, making her the first freestyle skier in history to win 3 medals at a single games. She did it while enrolled at Stanford, while modeling for Louis Vuitton and Tiffany, and while building an endorsement empire worth roughly $23 million a year. For perspective, only about $100,000 of her recent annual income came from actually winning ski competitions. The rest came from being Eileen Gu, and the mythology around her discipline is completely real. She paid her own private high school tuition from brand deals starting in her freshman year. She spends long-haul flights doing coursework and has said she has not watched a movie on a plane in years. Before Milan, she described herself as an evidence person rather than an affirmations person, someone who trusts receipts over vibes. She says sports are honest because you always know whether you stayed late when nobody else did. And in Milan, the machine delivered again. She was the only free skier at the entire games competing in 3 events, with morning finals and night finals and no days off, on a body she admitted was underprepared after barely touching a half pipe in the 2 months before the Olympics. She took silver in slopestyle by less than half a point. She took silver in big air. Then on the final day, in the half pipe at Livigno, she defended her Olympic title and became the most decorated freestyle skier in Olympic history, with 6 medals from 6 events across 2 games. Just after that winning run, she learned her grandmother had died. She stood at the press conference and carried it. When a reporter asked whether her games amounted to 2 silvers gained or 2 golds lost, she pushed back hard. And later, she said she gets to become every single day the kind of person her 8-year-old self would revere. And she called that the biggest flex there is. Fear as a tool, visualization, relentless preparation. Milan proved the blueprint all over again. So why did the girl across the mountains haunt me more? Because Alysa Liu used to be the machine. Her immigrant father put her on the ice at 5 years old. She was homeschooled through middle school and high school, so the ice could always come first. At 13, she became the youngest national champion in American figure skating history, breaking a record that had stood since Tara Lipinski. At 14, she landed a quadruple Lutz and a triple axel in the same program, the first woman ever to do that anywhere in the history of the sport. She made the Beijing Olympics at 16, the same games where Gu was crowned, finished 7th as the top American, and won world bronze in France a month later, the first American woman on a world's podium in 6 years. She had a decade of dominance sitting in front of her. And then came the Instagram post, April 9th, 2022. She wrote that after 11 years on the ice, she felt satisfied, that she had finished her goals, and that she was moving on with her life. I want to be honest about what I thought at the time, because it exposes exactly what the blueprint had done to my brain. I thought she was making the biggest mistake of her life. I thought she was wasting a generational gift, that she would regret it by 20, that champions do not walk off the field in the middle of the game. Somewhere along the way, I had absorbed the idea that stepping back is just failure with better lighting. Here's the sentence that eventually gutted me. Explaining her decision later, Liu said that skating takes up your whole life, and that she could not really know herself because she had only ever done one thing. She was 16, and she could already read the invoice. She tossed her skates into a closet, and that closet stayed shut for a year and a half. So what did she do with her 2 years of being nobody? She got her driver's license, she hiked to Everest Base Camp with her friends, she enrolled at her university in Los Angeles, and fell in love with psychology. She played Fortnite until 4 in the morning with her siblings. She gave herself a piercing that flashes over her front teeth every time she smiles, and she started dyeing a new stripe into her hair every year, like the rings of a tree. For the first time since kindergarten, nobody anywhere in her life was holding up a score. Now, hold that picture next to Gu's calendar in the same window. Stanford lectures, runways in Barcelona, fashion shows in Italy, campaigns for Porsche and Red Bull, magazine covers in 2 languages. I am not mocking any of it, because it is genuinely extraordinary. But notice that one of these young women was building an empire while the other was building a self. And the entire culture around me insisted that only one of those projects counted. If this breakdown is hitting something in you, take 1 second and subscribe. Every week, I take apart the psychology of women who play the game differently, and this story is exactly why I do it. Now, let me show you what happened when the closet opened. 18 months after she threw her skates in there, Liu took them out, went to a rink, and landed a triple jump as if she'd never been away. When she told her old coach she wanted to compete again, he assumed she was pranking him. She announced her comeback in March of 2024 with one condition that was really a philosophy. Everything would run on her terms this time. She would spend only as much time at the practice rink as she wanted, and she would be involved in every decision about her programs. Her music, her choreography, her costumes, her reasons. The jaded skating commentators reminded everyone that comebacks in this sport almost never work. She won her first competition back that October, and 1 year after the announcement, in Boston, Alysa Liu became world champion, the first American woman to win a world title in 19 years. She had privately hoped her first season back might produce a top 10 finish at best. Which brings us back to that night in Milan. Her own coach told reporters afterward that they knew she was not there to win a medal, that she was there to skate and to enjoy it. She sat 3rd after the short program, and by her own account, things had been going wrong for weeks, so she said, "Screw it," in those exact words, and went out to do her job. She used a breathing technique through the whole program and deliberately looked out into the crowd during her transitions. Because when she sees people smiling in the audience, she has to smile back. Her 4 siblings, her father, and 2 of her best friends were up in those stands, and she said she had to put on a show for them. She has no poker face, and she knows it. The Donna Summer free skate that followed brought the Milano ice skating arena to its feet. A career best performance. The first American woman to win Olympic figure skating gold since Sarah Hughes in 2002. On top of the team gold she had already helped win the week before. She joked afterward that if she had a nickel for every gold medal at these games, she would have 2. She described the skate itself as peak happiness and said she felt like she was floating, carried by the crowd. Johnny Weir, calling it for American television, said she was showing the entire world that there is more than one way to win. 2 golds for the optimizer, 2 golds for the girl who quit. The scoreboard refuses to settle the argument, and that is exactly why you should trust what it is telling you. So here is the actual exposé. And it concerns neither woman personally. It concerns the invoice stapled to each blueprint. Listen to how Gu has described the inside of her own life. She has talked about a stretch where she always wanted to leave, no matter where she was, where she wanted to go home when she was out and wanted to sleep when she was awake, and where she never quite felt she was in the place she was meant to be. 6 for 6 is real. That sentence is also real. They came out of the same operating system, and you do not get to purchase one without the other. Liu paid a completely different bill. She paid up front, in public, at 16, while everyone including me called it quitting. She surrendered 4 years of momentum, sponsorship money, world ranking, and the compounding fame that Gu converted into $23 million a year. Her reward stayed invisible for a long time, because it looked like psychology homework and video games at 4 in the morning. It turned out to be a self so sturdy that when she returned to the most brutally judged sport on earth, the pressure slid off her like water, and the joy read on camera all the way from Milan. Both paths produced gold. Both women are telling the truth about their own lives. The difference is when the bill arrives and what currency it gets paid in. One blueprint charges you daily, in restlessness, in a mind that never fully clocks out. The other charges you once in a terrifying lump sum, paid while the whole world calls you a waste of talent. So let me ask you what I finally had to ask myself. Which invoice are you currently paying without having read it? Because if your calendar looks like a small empire and you have not felt like you were in the right place in years, hear me clearly. You are not disciplined. You are in debt. And if you have been white-knuckling a version of your life that stopped fitting long ago, the most strategic move on the table might be the one that looks like surrender from the outside. I still believe fear can be a tool. I still believe preparation separates the women who dream from the women who deliver. Eileen Gu did not get disproven in Milan. She got a companion truth standing next to her on the mountain. Alysa Liu never rejected excellence. She just refused to hand over her entire self to pay for it. And the gold showed up anyway. When you picture winning, be honest about the image in your head. Do you see the podium, or do you see yourself floating? Go read your invoice, and as always, stay hot.